Yes. Yes.
Good morning, Pura Vida. Welcome to this week's Dharma Talk, the second Dharma Talk of 2022. So that seems like an auspicious number. Thank you all for joining us here at beautiful Bali Rica and beautiful Costa Rica and on the internet. Lisa Virtue is going to open today's session with a guided meditation.
Thank you. Today's talk that Jeff will be giving is on equanimity. So that's what we'll be contemplating today for meditation. And I just wanted to say one thing that equanimity is not, that often concerns people, is it's not apathy. So sometimes in considering equanimity, people think that they just can't react to anything or do anything. That's not quite accurate. So if
Not
that's
at
a
all.
concern, you can sweep that away. How I see equanimity is that calm, centered self amidst the goings on of life. And you can be at home, at peace, within the knowingness of who you are, the knowingness of your spirit, let's say, and that everything else just isn't part of that. So things that happen in life might be occurring, but they're not happening to that essence of you. That essence of you is always forever unchanging, wonderful self. So it's finding your way home to remembering that, or just being present in the moment and accepting that things are going on, but you don't have to attach to the stories. So it's a bit of releasing the stories and remembering that calm place that is always there. But I know Jeff will go into it more.
For minutes of silence.
And yeah, so in our silence, it's when you're feeling your mind going to anywhere, recognizing that it is one of those things outside of you, even a thought or an idea. It's not that inner part. So just bringing your mind back to recognizing that um, that it is a bit separate that way. So let's close our eyes. Take 3 deep clearing breaths. Arriving here in this moment where you're sitting and coming home. Just witnessing what is.
What a great chime. Mhm.
We can use that as our moment to come back to our awakeness,
Okay.
alertness, opening your eyes, and just being here, ready to receive. All right, namaste.
Namaste. That was between the dog crying and the telephone boinging. I said, "Oh, you gotta have a sense of humor." Hey, sweetie.
Well, wouldn't you know, on the week that I prepare a talk for equanimity, that I'm thrown every curveball possible, hundreds of them. And it's like even on the way here, 8 conflict phone calls for me on the way here.
What?
Yeah.
Everything is an opportunity to
And
practice.
as it is, and so equanimity is indeed about how to smile amid all that, and after it, and during it. I have to tell you, I'm more successful, but there were times this week that I said things under my breath that are not about equanimity.
That 20% popped up.
Yeah. You might be 20%. I might be 30 or 40.
Okay.
I'm not sure. And so
But you're aware of it.
I am aware.
That's right.
It's a great topic, equanimity. And Lisa alluded to what the topic is, and so we're going to do 3 parts today. And I want to start again with the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and how that a little bit fits into this. We're going to talk about definitions of equanimity, examples of equanimity, and then cultivating equanimity, how you actually put this into practice, which I think is always a good place to end. The 4 Noble Truths take you along a path of balance, the middle way, all ways of seeing equanimity. And the first one is of the Noble Truths is that life includes suffering. It's a reality check. It's true. It was true 8 times on the way here.
Mm-hmm. I
It's
had
true.
my shirt on inside out.
Even worse than mine.
Thank goodness for friends who say, "Psst, put your shirt on inside out." Oh my God. Okay. Anyway.
And so life includes suffering of some sort, some small, some big, all challenging. Mm-hmm. And so the second is that the causes of our suffering, our inevitable suffering, is our clinging, grasping, craving, delusion, ignorance. We could spend 5 weeks on those 5, and we have.
Did you say them again?
Yes, yeah.
Good.
Clinging, grasping, craving, ignorance, delusion.
Bingo.
Okay. Glad you agree with the Buddha. So the 3rd Noble Truth is the way out. And the way out is detachment.
Choice.
The problem area is attachment. The solution is some form of detachment. And equanimity is indeed about vacating space so that you can put something in its place. But that's a two-step process that Ruthie talked about last week. How to release the patterns, the things that have caused our suffering, and we're going to go into how you cultivate that step by step at the end. But how you release that and let go of it, transform it, make friends with it, whatever it is that you need to do in the process of releasing your causes of suffering, your patterns, your habits of suffering. The fourth noble truth is indeed about how to navigate a steady ship. They're all up here. Right view, right thinking, right work, right speech, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Ruthie has those memorized. I have to look at the board.
I got a little time on
You
you.
do have a little time on me, maybe
I
like
have a little
60
more
years.
time to memorize.
Yeah, it's
that's right.
It's good. And so equanimity is like the seasoning of the paella of all of this. If indeed you have this ingredient in the recipe, it will be delicious for you. The suffering will be irrelevant, not attractive, left behind, discarded, vacated, and there will be other things put in their place, like these 8 things, which are suggestions about how to replace the ways that we suffer and the sources of our suffering. So Lisa was absolutely right when she started with equanimity being a tranquil and clear state of mind where one can love and understand all sides. You climb the mountain to be able to look over the whole situation, not bound by a side. Rarely evident in this day.
You're right. Wow.
So this is
Yeah,
a special
that-
challenge, right now. To see the big picture, to look and stand in the middle and yet over all of this. To stand in the middle and yet over it, above it, see the big picture, see where you fit in the big picture, and start to make choices that can lead you there. The Buddha talked about this, and he said something really about that kind of mountain, and that is when your mind is when you are equanimous, your mind is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility or ill will.
Very important.
Vacant. The ill will and the things that we have habitually made our lives about in our suffering is vacated. Psychology talks about this too. This is a psychological stability undisturbed by experiences or exposure to emotions, pain that unwind other people. It's the exact opposite of many of the examples that you see. The dramas, the stories, the suffering. When you see those, you realize that there is a stability that you can cultivate, that you can practice, that it will take effort to vacate and it will take effort to absorb.
Out beyond ideas
We're going to end
of
with
wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. So it's what you're saying. If you re-say it or put it in there, it's a short way of remembering that out beyond, which is transcendence. None of this, that's equanimity.
Mhm. We're on the right. That's what I wanted to end with today.
Well,
Again,
good. We'll end
again,
with
so
it
we're
again.
we will. We will.
You can never get tired of that poem.
To put a balance in perspective with other Buddhist thought, is that there are 4 mind virtues in Buddhism: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. The culmination of all of those is equanimity, is balance. There's a summary statement that I saw on one of the websites, and it said this. I thought it was clever. I found the secret to a happy life. I'm okay when everything is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Seems pretty practical.
Mm-hmm.
Thich Nhat Hanh interpersonally interpreted equanimity, and he said this: the ability to see everyone as equal is a very balanced view, which of course includes no judgment. There are 8 worldly winds in Buddhism that equanimity protects you from: praise and blame, success and failure, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute.
And gain and loss. You can add that one.
Okay, got it. Okay, so there's 10 worldly winds.
Yeah, we got 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want protection from all those things, that means that you are detached from those. From praise, nice. Blame, okay. Success, failure, pleasure, pain, fame, disrepute,
Gain and loss.
gain and loss. Those are secondary or even unimportant. Or transient, maybe. Just for the moment. Lisa, I'm glad that you said what you said at the beginning of what equanimity is not, because I'm going to just say it in a different way. The exact same thing. Equanimity is not dry neutrality or cool aloofness. Mature equanimity produces radiance, warmth of being, and being fully present in the current moment. Radiance, warmth, presence. That is what equanimity does. That is what detachment does. I think you're absolutely right in saying that many people think that this it just you end up in some kind of neutral state. No, that's not the idea of equanimity. It means that you're an energized balance.
Think ballet
Mm-hmm.
or any sport.
So it makes me think of like if there's a situation, maybe there was an accident or something, and people are drawn to that one person that's just standing calm, taking action without being reactive and overwhelmed.
Yep.
That's what we're all.
Yep.
That's equanimous.
Yeah. And there are some of us by nature in personality. I'm one of these type that in the middle of a crisis, I'm calm as a cucumber.
I do the same thing. I go almost cold.
Other people are flipping out, and I'm just as calm as can be. Now, when I go to bed that night, I'll be a mess.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
So every one of us have a different way that we deal with this, and yet wherever the mess is, you do have the ability to detach and be in that observe it, but not join it, not add to the storyline that's been given to you from the external world.
Who wrote the poem? If you can keep your head when those all around you are losing theirs, you'll be a man, my son. That's Rudyard Kipling. You know,
Nice literature.
Yeah, what? What was the last
If
part?
if you can keep your head, keep your calm or whatever it is.
If your head
If
when
you-
all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you.
Yeah, then you'll be a man, my son. You so stay calm no matter what's happening. You can
Beautiful.
fall apart later on.
Beautiful. Look at how many disciplines talk about the importance of this idea. It must be true. And we know it intuitively that this is true. I had a client this morning who I'm going to have a couples counseling session. I think it's going to be quite riotous at 3 this afternoon. And she said to me in one of my many texts this morning that it she said, I said, I'm going to give a talk today on equanimity. And she goes, I really need that. I'm like, 10 a.m. Valley Rica. She's not here, but it was an offering. She knew that going into some kind of potential storyline, that this would be the way to begin. It's totally true. I'm glad you bring up the athlete thing. The best athletes are the ones who are calm when the moment is that they have to perform. It's really interesting, as I've used Nadia Comaneci before on the balance beam, which is obvious, but Simone Biles. Interestingly, a very interesting detachment story in the last Olympics of what she needed to do for herself because she was too attached to the pressure. She was too attached to her success, and therefore she needed to pull back. I thought it was beautiful. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought that was a beautiful set of attempt to balance herself amid the pressures of the world. And so this is, I have to tell you, this is possible, and yet it takes skillful effort. And we'll talk some more about that.
Jeff, it's such a delicate balance because to detach is the easiest way to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
To just kind of black it out.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's not what
you're saying.
detachment
But
is.
what I've learned being here and what's worked for me, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent,
No,
but
yeah,
what's worked for me, and it's been amazing. My
Can you
petri
just speak
dish.
a little bit
Yep.
louder?
My petri dish to test stuff is my home, obviously.
Sure.
So I've had an amazing, profound, wonderful enhancement to my marriage by letting stuff happen and then say, okay, if this still bothers me in 15 minutes, I'll act upon it. I'll do something about it. Oh my goodness. It's just been really nice because 99% of the time
It goes away.
it goes away.
Okay, yeah.
It really goes away.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm thinking, wow, Buddhism, you can detach. And now
You can let it
be
go.
careful, don't detach. It's a
We-
balance.
I did a whole series of things, and this was really tricky for me to prepare for on detached involvement, which is exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
You're
And
fully
actually,
engaged,
Yeah.
but
I don't want to stop doing this. This is working.
Good.
But yeah,
go with it.
but I hear what you're saying too because
Mhm.
this is interesting. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. And you want to know there's some of how to cultivate equanimity and balance.
Yes.
That is exactly what you just said.
I think to the definition of all this too is
Speak
it's
up.
the event that triggers my ego and all I have to detach from the thing.
Touche.
So it doesn't matter what the event is. It's kind of like you're detaching from yourself. So you never know
You're-
the
but
situation.
It's almost like you're vacating your old self and you're
Yeah.
finding a new self.
Yes.
you're
it
letting
does.
go of the negativities within yourself.
Yes.
You're letting go of all of the obstacles within yourself. And it's not that you're negating yourself, you're just letting go of the negativities, the anger, the greed, or what have you. But Jeff, I'm sure, is going to get to the
But
importance of
let's go.
discussion.
Let's go to some examples because you're giving examples and I have some examples here.
Okay.
There's a very
Sorry, can I just say one more thing?
Of course.
To
Yeah.
follow up that thought.
Yeah.
I think that just goes to say that in every circumstance, in every situation, we have the choice to act, whether it be the way that we used to handle or react to these situations, or make the intentional choice to react differently or
Mhm.
respond.
Mhm.
In
Totally.
comparison to that just initial reaction of the ego. So
Exactly.
that's something that just I needed to.
Mhm.
Ooh, it's an active choice of ourselves
It
as
is.
we navigate, and every single time it comes up, we have the ability to choose again.
Mhm. And what she was saying is that there's a necessary ingredient to make a better choice, and that is pause.
The pause.
The power of the pause.
The power of the pause.
Exactly.
You remember, can I say something? Last week I talked about being the still point of the turning wheel. And that's what you're talking about. That gap, that pause, sitting on your cushion. This is the greatest value of meditation, is that in stillness and in silence, you restore your equanimity. And then, and at that point, you're the still point, and the world, let the world turn. And when you get up and act with the world, you're in a different place than if you're just thrown into it and go around. Sorry, I don't know.
Nobody needs to be there. Sorry. These are all. This is
Well,
all what I prepared, and you already know it.
we all do
Illustrated
know
it.
it.
I think this is intuitive material. If you really can be in touch with that beautiful intuitive nature that you have within you. Here are some other examples. This one is I used last time when I did this talk a year and a half ago, but I really like it. Imagine that you are a plate magician at the circus who spins plates on the whatever that is, the staff. Life is the assistant who throws plates at you. What are your options? 1, catch them all and fail. 2, dodge them all, escape, and they all break. 3, cultivate a practice of catching plates and deciding to spin or set aside. It makes total sense. Cultivate a practice of catching plates and deciding to spin or set aside. That would be balance. That would be reasonable. That would be workable. All of the things that we're looking to have happen, that would be practical. Many people in their perfectionism about areas of their life try to catch every plate, try to spin every one, and the only one that's really spinning is them.
Sometimes you're also the one throwing plates at yourself.
You can evidently, according to this illustration, you can blame life or the assistant who's throwing it.
I want that and that and that. No, now there's too many things. Just putting me in the situations.
And there are many people that dodge all of the plates, just opt out. Many addicts that I've worked with opt out. That's the way of dealing it, and everything around them breaks. And then they wonder why it's all broken. It's because there was plates being thrown at them that were supposed to be caught and decided about. So now in recovery, they get a chance to learn some of those cultivated skills, hopefully. And if they do, they'll stay sober. They won't want to escape, and everything won't have to always break around them.
Did you see that movie with Phil Collins' daughter?
Do what?
There was a movie.
Yeah.
With Phil Collins' daughter, where I think she's a drug addict.
Yeah.
That was an amazing. I thought it was an amazing movie.
Yeah, look it up afterwards, and I'll include it in and when we do the.
Do you know what she's talking about?
I think I've seen part of that movie.
I'll find out.
Okay.
I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So the real plate magician who's balanced cultivates the practice of catching plates and deciding whether to spin them or set them aside. I did this in my early being a therapist. 40 clients in 40 hours, 50 minutes 5 minutes to have a bathroom break, 5 minutes to write notes, 8 hours a day, 6 years, 2 weeks vacation. What I would do when I came home, and some of the most complex stories, I did not know people lived these lives. And this was in a treatment center, the lowest funded treatment center in the state of Minnesota where I lived. And so you can imagine the level of clients that were there and their stories. They would tell their stories, and I'd be like, "You've got to be kidding! These are better than the worst movies." And in that, I would go home, and I knew that I could not take that weight with me. And so I would shower and wash it down the drain, and then I would go out and garden. Plants didn't talk to me. They seemed fairly simple.
They had a heck of a garden.
Yeah, beautiful. I've always said the best gardens because working with people and working with plants are a good balancing act. And I needed to do that so that I could actually practice helping people in that 50 minutes and then release them as they walked out the door and not take them home thinking about it. Many of my early years were filled with the dreams of their stories. I have to tell you, there's none of that now. Somebody tells me their story, it's their story. They own it, they deal with it. I help them in dealing with it, and then I release it. It took 20 years of practice to get to that skill level about it. I don't think I've dreamt about a client's story for 5 years. I used to lead a program in divorcing couples who had children. They had to come to co-parenting classes. Most people were imbalanced coming in. Hated that they were required to do this, hated they had to pay $50, hated their spouse, hated their lawyer, hated the courts, hated life, blah, 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 blah. And so we started with the class, and in every class of 50 people, there was a couple that were divorcing that sat by each other and were nodding at the material. Almost every class. And I was always just like, isn't this intriguing? 48 people at odds with themselves and the world. And this couple, balanced, knew that they needed to be there as parents of their children so that their children were not affected by their divorce. I would many times turn and say, "What's your secret? We have a whole bunch of material here. What's your secret?" And they would share it. And other people are like, "Where did these people come from?" Well, they had figured out how to balance and focus and keep the concentration on what was important. And that was the vulnerable people in their lives besides themselves. And so that there's all kinds of balance of this. Also, Jesus talked about this. You knew I'd bring Jesus into the discussion. The house built on the rock, the seed tossed in good soil, same stuff. Stephen Kellogg in The Three Little Pigs taught this about the house built with stones, building something solid that the winds don't blow. Robert Southey, I think is his name, Goldilocks and the Three Bears taught
Just
this.
thinking about that.
The bed that was too hard, the bed that was too soft, the one that was just right in the middle, the porridge that was too hot, the porridge that was too cold, the one that was just right in the middle.
Chair that was too big, the chair that was too little, and the chair that just right.
We know the
It's
story.
the
If you don't know that
Goldilocks
story,
principle. It's a
you want to
very-
know, we
That's the
teach.
equanimity story.
It is,
Big time.
totally.
Big
And
time.
so we teach our children this, and we need to teach ourselves
Yeah.
again,
The middle way.
because the winds have gotten to us. 3 options, a river illustration, and then we'll go to the cultivating equanimity. If you cling to the storylines, the dramas, the suffering, the negative parts of your ego and personality. You are resisting the flow and swimming upstream. The result is you're exhausted and you never can get there. So that's clinging. Doesn't get you there. So you can also float down the river with no effort, and the result is you could potentially be dashed against some rocks as the river just takes you with you doing nothing about it. This seems kind of attractive. It's the opting out, but it seems kind of attractive. Not the dashing on the rocks, but the floating part. And so this is not, equanimity is not about just willy-nilly, whatever happens, pura vida, there it is. It is okay, but it is about skillful effort. The third one. You go with the rise and fall of the river, but you're not thrown. You cultivate your discipline and you navigate yourself down the river with effort and skill.
Feet first.
Feet first, maybe. Maybe some people head first. Maybe they do best here. Don't know. And so this mindful, skillful effort is what equanimity is talking about. And we've been doing these talks 5 years, 6,
7.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Wow.
We're now in
7.
7.
7 years. And those of us who've been here for quite a while have been on the road to enlightenment. I don't know, have anybody arrived yet? If you have, you should be teaching, not me. But you want to know, on that road is this kind of skill, this kind of effort, and it does take effort. The mindful to become a mindful person. It does take discipline. It does take getting these things in order, not only in your mind, but in your practice, in your meditation, in your living out of this stuff, in the challenges. I know as these many things came at me this week that I was forever reminded about mindfulness and balance. And then I'd go at night to study, and then I'd be like, oh, there it is again. The challenge to do that, where I had done well down the stream and where I had struggled, but that was part of the whole, where the boulders were as I was navigating my way down the stream, with no judgment about myself, just that that's the best that I had to do right now. So those examples of equanimity kind of get us on the path of this. So now let's get to the practical stuff. How do you cultivate equanimity? So I went back to my farming background and tried to figure out what a cultivator does. Because I remember from my grandparents' farm, they cultivated the field before they did other things. There was a bunch of expensive equipment that they had, and the cultivator did one of two things. I looked it up because I'm not a farm boy. I had gone to the farm, but I'm not a farm boy. Either the cultivator ripped up weeds during the growing season out of the crops, or it took the entire topsoil level to a place where you could plant.
I don't understand.
So if the crops were growing, it took the excess weeds, all the other things out, and the cultivating is actually like a rototiller as well, making the ground soft so that the seeds have a place to both land and to get water and to get air and all the things that they will need. And so if we're going to cultivate equanimity, it could be both of those things as well. It could be about vacating the weeds. Each of us know what our weeds are, don't you? You know where your traps are. Okay. And so if you're going to cultivate equanimity, then there has to be a disposing of those weeds. And also in its place, you process the soil so that it's ready for the new seeds. Interesting. Cultivating equanimity fits with farming, vacating and filling. So I've and I don't need my notes for this because this is stuff that I've done in the last year. The process can be 5 steps. I used to in the early stages have 3: recognize, release, and replace. Remember everything? Now I've expanded it to 5 as we did the detached involvement. 1, if you're going to cultivate equanimity, first of all, you have to notice. Be aware. You have to be observant, aware of what is happening around you, what is happening within you. Second, you have to then spend some time analyzing that material. Observe, analyze. Where does it come from? Why is this so powerful to me? Oh, yeah, this is my history with this kind of wind coming at me. All of that kind of analysis is good. Dan, you and I have talked about this a lot. Given that you were a doctor in background, the second step, Diane, did you mind me saying?
Don't mind.
Diane is like an expert. If you want to learn this second step, you go talk to Diane. How to analyze the material. This is the diagnostic end of this. And so you observe. It's like a doctor's office, isn't it? You come in and the doctor has to observe what's happening with you. And the doctor has to analyze what it is, where does it come from, what is it? Third, you have to ride the emotional hill that comes along with this inevitably. Knowing that if you pause and don't act yet, that every emotion will rise and it will fall. That's why I call it the emotional hill. Every emotion that rises, if you sit with it, it will fall. This is a truth taught by the Buddha, a truth taught by psychologists in the current time, communication experts, how to use your computer, how to use your text message. All of these things are part. When the pause comes in, you don't send stuff that's inappropriate. You don't send raw material because the raw material needs to be refined before it's sent. So you ride the emotional hill, and a piece of that is the pause at the top. You allow yourself to feel it. This is where you're not like, you're not like some zombie. This equanimity is not about being a zombie. It's really about being fully human. And part of being fully human is to deal with the feelings that come along with it. But you pause at the top, and it will come down. And then fourth, you will have the chance to choose. And with your choice, the fifth step is, how will I act? What will I do? That 5-step practice will help you in cultivating equanimity. It's helped me. Notice, analyze, feel, including pause, choose, act. When you do that, it's super interesting. And when you do it, the first 3 simultaneously, you can do many things all at once, especially if you're a female. A lot of females in the room. No, it's totally true. Do you know that the connector between the 2 halves of a woman's brain is 3 times thicker than men's?
That makes sense.
The connector between the 2 halves of the brain is 3 times thicker
Does that mean
between women. That means that women are always working in both hemispheres.
Yeah.
Men are working only a third of the time in both hemispheres. Most of the time, we're operating in one thing or the other, the chaotic side of the brain or the organized side of the brain.
So true.
And so there's a physiological reason for this. Interestingly, just a little sidelight is that gay men have the same thickness as women.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
We're multitaskers.
Yeah.
But there's a danger in multitasking. That's so when all the plates are thrown, you think you can have them all. You can't have them all.
So
This is unclear to you? Also, just another little sidelight is that the earlobes of a lesbian woman are configured differently than other women.
I'm just wondering if this has anything to do with the balance of the masculine and the feminine energy that I feel like gay men can attribute to their identity, and having more of a balance of the masculine and the feminine energy that does reside within all of us.
Absolutely.
But whether or not we choose to accept or act in that balance, or more masculine or feminine based.
Totally. Whole nother talk. We should do that talk together. That'd be a really nice talk. I don't think the Buddha differentiated between the genders.
Yeah, he did.
With this, in the Buddhist day, it was largely male dominated.
It was almost complete.
In Jesus' day, same,
Okay.
but not in this day. Thank God.
The Buddha got into quite a bit of trouble because he was the first in the East to allow women to go into the monasteries and become educated and become nuns. The Hindus didn't believe in that either. And so he didn't believe in the caste system. It's amazing he lived as long as he did because he went against the cultural norm of the Brahmins or of caste systems. And he said no. And he also included women. He didn't really want to. His aunt talked him into it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, she came and scolded him, and he said, "Okay."
Most of us men need a little scolding sometimes, right?
Okay,
Being set
okay.
straight about some things.
There's a very funny video that you can Google comparing men's and women's brains. It's done by a psychologist.
Yep.
He describes the women's brains. And the men's brains is made up of boxes that don't touch.
Yeah.
Boxes at what?
Boxes that don't touch.
Oh, okay.
Including a box that only men have called nothing box. When you say, what are you thinking?
Of course not. Yeah.
But we have neuroplasticity, right? Like the brain cultivates connections when
Totally.
we need to. So I don't know. It's not necessarily like physiologically women and men are born differently. Like women,
It's the way we're taught.
have to adapt to the way society treats us, right? So
Absolutely. And have to adapt. I mean, the life expectancy of women on the average is, I think, 5 to 8 years longer than men. And some of that has to do with the way women live their lives. Women live their lives a little more communally often. And those things in community creates enjoyment, happiness. It has its own little level of dramas and those things, but also that women have the physiology of having children. Their bodies are built for the survival of some traumatic event like that that's natural and normal. And so it's all of this is a part of how you work with yourself gender wise and how you work for the balance. I want to go back to my point here. We could really go off on the gender thing.
We want to talk about death and orgasm.
Is that your next talk?
Every time Sandy and I get together, somehow.
oh, we have
Somehow-
interesting talks. Death and orgasm.
No,
Yeah.
we did. I said.
Hopefully not at the same time.
What? They what?
Hopefully not at the same time.
Well,
There are similarities.
Why not?
there are absolutely. Don't
Okay.
know what
No.
they.
Let's go back. Noticing, analyzing, and riding the emotional hill.
Yeah.
Those can happen simultaneously was my core point. and they do. It's not like, okay, first I have to observe, then I need to analyze, then I need to climb the emotional hill. This is all like embedded, and the strings are between all of those that happen together. But I do think those three feel like they need to be threaded together before you choose an act. You have to give yourself time for the process. Otherwise, you just act automatically in a unskillful way.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
For those first three,
Yes.
is the importance of the development of self-compassion
Yes.
through this process,
Yes.
rather than, I mean, obviously the self-criticism is a natural thing that us humans do, but to be able to develop that sense of self-compassion while we are in this state of observation and recognizing why it is that we are the way that we are is necessary.
Yeah.
Absolutely necessary in order to make that empowered choice.
Let me add a sub point of compassion. I agree 100%. Humor.
Yeah.
I really felt released this morning from all of the details of the week driving here because I was just smiling about it. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's where
Wow.
Sandy and I end up every time too.
Absolutely.
Just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, smiling.
just laugh, you
Just-
know.
You
just
gotta
smile
laugh
about
at
it.
it.
Yeah.
What's the alternative, right? Like-
Well, the alternative is to suffer.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. That's the alternative.
The alternative
some other
drains you. You
Yeah.
loss of vitality.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about is gaining vitality with space and, you know,
I think a key point that you're all echoing that just struck me is it takes a certain degree of responsibility to get through this.
It does.
That you can't just say, "Oh no, another bad thing's happening to me. I'm
Yeah.
such a victim. That,
Uh-huh.
what can I do?"
Yeah.
You have to take responsibility and say, "Okay, which is more important to deal with first? You know, it's real. I didn't cause it, or maybe I did cause it. I have to work that out."
Yeah.
and deal with it.
This happens a lot in couples counseling. You're trying to encourage people to take personal responsibility. What's your part in why this has come here to this point where you need an outsider to sit with you about the thing? Then at that point, what's your part rather than the finger point?
Yeah.
This person is this person is this. Now, what's my contribution to why this has struggled? When you do that, when you take that responsibility, it leads you right to the Eightfold Path, because these are all about personal steps. And these are interwoven among each other. So I'm going to end with a poem. Thank you for your inputs. Think of this as it relates to balance, equanimity. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Peace.
Can I ask you a question? We were Googling, remember, Ruthie, we were trying to find that on the internet. I couldn't find the full version.
If you
Can
want
you
to take a
put that-
picture afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, actually we're gonna give people a gift, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
If
Of
I can
this.
get my printer going and somebody can set it up, I want to print it out and give it to
You want to make
Oh,
copies, please?
fabulous.
Do you have a
Barbara was
printer?
very,
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, got it.
I
You like this?
really do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have probably read this more than
Yeah.
anything.
anything because
We
it's
probably
all
read this
contained
20
there.
times over the years
It's all
because it's
there.
just so
It's
beautiful.
so old.
Yeah, it's so old.
Well, third
And
story.
yet every
Yeah.
time is it not new when you think about it related to the topic we've just done. Every time there's something in it. So my favorite is the breeze at dawn has secrets to tell
Yes.
you. I like
And
that
it does.
a lot.
It does.
Let's do a loving kindness meditation.
We're ready. Everybody in the mood for loving kindness? That's the balance. We have someone new here. Wherever you are, just listen along, and I'll tell you what we're doing as we go. What?
Nothing.
Do
I'm
it.
teasing.
What? Honey?
We were just pointing.
But we're not pointing at you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not waving.
But we
at
were all
me?
pointing at you.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awful.
I know, right?
Okay, all right. Okay. When was the last time you took someone's hands and said, I have something to tell you? I love you. Think about that. When was the last time? Who was the last person that you touched and told them that you love them? So, anyway, we cultivate loving kindness. This is the big balance on the whole spectrum of Buddhism. You're going to think of yourself first, then someone you love, then you're going to move out to a neutral person, then you're going to go to someone with whom you are in conflict, then you're going to go to all sentient beings everywhere. That's for the newcomers. So take a few deep breaths, and Sharon's going to give us a nice big ding. Settle into this balanced seat. Breathe into your body. And to yourself say, may I be well. May no harm come to me. May I live with ease. That's equanimity. May I live with ease, calm, and peaceful. May I be happy. Breathe. Bring to mind someone you love with all your heart. Look at that person. See them. Smile to them and say, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm, and peaceful. May you be happy. Smiling. You take another deep breath or two and bring to mind your neutral person. This is someone you may not even know his or her name. If that's the case, address them as friend. But it's someone that you come in contact with. So perhaps they wait on you, or you pass them on the road when you drive and you wave, whatever. But visualize them and say, dear friend, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. And now you move away from them And with a bit of extra breathing all the way down and relaxation, you bring to mind someone with whom you are in conflict. Someone who doesn't like you, someone you don't like, perhaps, someone that there's a long standing grudge or just a recent hurt. Bring their face to mind and looking at them steadily. No aversion of eyes, averting of eyes, and without any malice say, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. Giving a bit of extra time to this one because it's a difficult one. We let go and we put our hands on our hearts because our hearts are the symbol of being able to everything, hold everything in love. And we think about 7 billion people on our planet. We don't know how many other planets there are out there, how many universes, how many galaxies. We have a spaceship now running back 13 billion years into the darkness of the past. Bring to mind all the possibilities of all the people that occupy all the space of all the universes. It's a lot. And then you relax again and you say, may all beings everywhere on this plane and all other planes be well. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. May all beings everywhere be happy. Now, if you're at home and you have the time, you can sit with this for as long as you feel. For now, we release our hands to our laps. We open our eyes. We smile at each other. And with me, we recite our little benediction. The first line is go in peace.
Go in peace.
Go making peace.
Go making peace.
Living gently.
Living gently.
Loving mightily.
Loving mightily.
And bowing to the mysteries.
And bowing
Bowing to the mysteries.
See you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
I don't know if I turned it off.
I did.
What? Did we forget to film?
Oh,
No, it's good.
oh.
We're good.
Who was it